2013 saw a lot of sci-fi films released. You got Star Trek Into Darkness, Oblivion, Hunger Games, After Earth, Gravity, and so many more. But one film that often gets overlooked is The World's End, and this is what we're reviewing this week as part of the final film of the Cornetto trilogy. Unlike all the other films in the Cornetto trilogy, Simon Pegg's character is instead dumb, boring, undeveloped, immature and all that, because obviously with Shaun of the Dead you had Shaun, he was just clever, determined. In Hot Fuzz he was focused, mighty, powerful. But The World's End just sees him as the immature guy of the group. Which brings me into the plot. Pegg's character is Gary King, a middle-aged alcoholic who's going nowhere in his life, and so he decides he has some unfinished business to do if he wants to extend. He invites back 4 childhood friends: Stephen, Peter, Oliver and Andy, with Oliver and Andy played by Martin Freeman and Nick Frost respectively, to attempt something they tried many years ago and failed. A mighty golden pub crawl, which sees them go through across pubs even, in their town of Newton Haven, before finally reaching the World's End. However, some things have changed since then. Once best friends, Andy and Gary have had a major falling out resulting in something stupid that Gary did. And he's not exactly too keen on coming back until Gary tells a little white lie that brings everyone back. But as they slowly get into the pub crawl, they discover that as they said they were going to take on the world, now they might just have to save it, because the citizens of Newton Haven have somehow been replaced by robots. And so yeah, long story short, as they try to finish the pub crawl to avoid suspicion, but soon find themselves drawn into a massive plot to replace the whole world with robots. And as I say, they were going to take on the world, but tonight they might have to save it. Now, to answer the question you're asking, which is probably, how's Cornetto referenced in The World's End? The ice cream itself doesn't actually appear, but the wrapper appears very towards the end, which will keep up the whole tradition of having some Cornetto reference in the film, because obviously you have the full ice cream and the wrappers in Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz, and whilst it's only the wrapper in The World's End, at least it's still referenced. As you expect with a certain director, they always know how to stick with the same actors for everything they do, because obviously with Christopher Nolan, he's made sure to feature Christian Bale, Leonardo DiCaprio, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Michael Caine, and a whole mixture of the same actors in his films. Edgar Wright does the same thing, because obviously in the Cornetto trilogy you've got Simon Pegg and Nick Frost, but there's also appearances from other actors who appeared in the other Cornetto films. For instance, Martin Freeman, who stars in his first full-length Cornetto film appearance, because his appearances in Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz were only cameos. And Martin Freeman, I do like as a good actor. He does a fantastic Bilbo, he does a fantastic John from BBC's Sherlock, and all around, he's just a really good actor, because he's also done some really fantastic comedic things where he thinks inside his head and then declares something out, yelling it out, like, "I'm not a..." insert words here. And since the other people don't share his frame of mind, they look at him confused. Other actors even, who appear in this film, who appeared in other Cornetto films, is Harry Potter's David Bradley, who appeared in Hot Fuzz as a sort of farmer who had a ton of guns in his shed, to playing a character called Basil in this film. And to be honest, I'm actually having trouble remembering what Basil actually did in the film. I don't think he did much, but just to let you know that, much like with Christopher Nolan, Edgar Wright knew which actors to stick in his film, sticking with the same people, sticking with experience. Now, if there's one thing in the Cornetto trilogy of films that sticks in your head, it's how Frost and Pegg's characters interact. And this film has a scene towards the end which just brings all of it together, brings the Cornetto trilogy acting to a fantastic close, if that makes sense, and just goes to prove how good an acting duo Peg and Frost are. Because it's a scene when Gary and Andy do reach the world's end, but then they actually end up in a bit of a fight, in which truths are revealed, and it just brings out your emotions, really. It's heart-wrenching to see such powerful acting from two fantastic actors. But of course, I'm not going to spoil, otherwise you'd be complaining, because you obviously heard about one person who complained that I spoiled Toy Story 3 for him, which is loads stupid. But anyway, I'm not going to spoil it for you, you just have to see it for yourself, but this film does have fantastic emotive acting. And another thing I like is the inclusion of like alcohol involving songs, because there's one scene when the five friends discovered the first and visual signs of alien invasion, in which they decide to carry on with the pub crawl in order to avoid suspicion. And the music that plays as they go on to the next bar is actually Whiskey Bar by the Doors. That's just a fantastic song. Just show me the way to the next whiskey bar. Oh, don't ask why. Don't worry, I'm not going to sing the whole song. Take forever. But one thing that this song has is that for its soundtrack, it consists of fantastic band songs involving all sorts of alcohol. So overall, in a sum up, World's End is better than Shaun of the Dead for me, but not as good as Hot Fuzz. Nothing can top Hot Fuzz for these three films. So I gave Shaun of the Dead, I think, a B. Hot Fuzz gets an A+, and this gets an A. It's solid throughout, doesn't let up, but it's just not as strong as Hot Fuzz for me. So there we go, that's the Cornetto trilogy for you. As I say, get this film on box set or buy them separately even, but buy them however way you can. You will not be disappointed by any of these films. Really, you will not. And also, keep an eye out next week, because that's when I start the collection, which I show you my collection of DVDs and Blu-rays, how I got them and everything. So, keep an eye out and enjoy.